we are going to be exploring Rise 360, and we will be exploring how to add interactive elements to your e-learning. Here we have just a basic e-learning that I started building. And we'll go into the templates section here and say we want to add a blank lesson. We can go ahead and add our first block. Now, to get to the interactive elements, we are going to go ahead and hit all blocks. And when we do that, we'll see all these options come up. We're going to hit interactive. Now, there are several interactive elements that you can add to your e-learning. And when we say interactive, we really mean anything that requires the learner to participate in that element. So they have to click on it, they have to click through it. Perhaps there is an image that they're clicking on. It is something where they have to be involved in that process for them to move forward. So I'm going to walk through what the options are here. So the first is an accordion, and this is pretty straightforward. You have headers for each of your sections, and if they want to learn more about each of those, they'll click this plus sign, it'll drop down, and that will give them the opportunity to get more detail on whatever it is that you are explaining. Similarly, you can structure this as tabs, which would be this one here where you have separate tabs that they will click through. You can also use a labeled graphic, which I'll show you in just a moment. And on that, we'll have these kind of highlighted plus signs on the image. And when you select those, you will get more information about whatever that is. Process is a really helpful tool if you're trying to explain something that's step by step. This is something that I recently used where I was walking through methodology for customer service, and it was really handy because it walked through step by step. I was able to add images to each section, and it's a nice way of breaking down anything that is a process. Then we also have a scenario. Now, the scenario is great if you want people to kind of practice a concept that you learned. So it's sort of a choose your own adventure, and you can give somebody a scenario, they choose from one of two options, and you can let them know if that's what you intend for them to select or if that was not the correct option. We also have a sorting activity. This one is nice. I tend to avoid it because it is a less accessible option for somebody that's using a screen reader. So that is something to keep in mind with that one. And then we also have a timeline, a flashcard grid, flashcard stack, buttons that you can select, a stack of buttons. This is kind of similar to the accordion, except it's just broken down a little bit differently. And then you can pull in things from Storyline as well. So we have quite a few different options here. To give you a quick example, I'm going to show you a labeled graphic. So I've selected labeled graphic, and now I'm going to want to edit it because I don't actually need an image of a hot air balloon. So I'm going to hit edit. And if I want to change this image, I actually just am going to scroll down here and I'll hit edit, upload image. And then from here, I'm going to go to my desktop. I have an image already ready to go. And since I'm talking about PowerPoint templates, I'm going to use this image here. Now, what's cool about this is that I can explain to people how they can design their PowerPoint presentations. So I could put a plus sign here to explain that they can use this drop-down box. I can put one over here for formatting the background. I can also add additional plus signs for things that I want to highlight. So say I want to talk a little bit about using Designer. So I could put a plus sign there. All I have to do is click once, and I've added a plus sign here. So when I want to add descriptions to those, I have the markers here. I can give them titles for each one. So, and then when I click it, I can say format background for this one. And then I can add a description here and say A, B, C, D, because for the sake of time, I'm not going to make you watch me type. But now I've formatted that. So when I close this, I go to click here. And so actually what I did here is I did format background for this one. So I'm going to edit that and move that down. Move that one up. So now when I click it, we see format background and it has that description. I can do that for all those plus signs. So that's just an example of how you can incorporate that interactive element into your training.